So, hello again, and welcome to another Feature Friday. We are going to talk about the Scheduler Data Manager. So, if you have an instance of Application Suite Manage 9.1, 9.0 will be fine, but there's some new things in 9.1. Go ahead and open up that application. Let's take a look at it. So, one of the challenges with the graphical scheduling apps is that the underlying work order and other data records really need to be in good shape so that navigating around within the applications is convenient. So, hence the need to understand the Scheduler Data Manager application. It is hidden under Administration in Manage 9.0 and 9.1. And keep in mind, this is not the optimizer. We're not talking about that. So, here we go. The first step is to have a schedule that is formed so that it'll appear in the Data Manager. So go ahead and create yourself a basic schedule in the graphical scheduling application. Don't spend too much time on it. Just make sure that it, of course, has a name and that you've saved it. Choose a calendar that makes sense and set up your work queries. We'll look at the data once we get into the Data Manager. So, first step, just build yourself a simple schedule in graphical scheduling. Now, the next thing we're going to do is actually open up the Data Manager. So go to Administration, scroll down under Scheduler Administration, and here amongst a number of other applications is the Scheduler Data Manager. Go ahead and open that up and go ahead and fill your list view. And if you've been working with the graphical scheduling apps, you may find a number of other schedules in here. And you'll notice that the schedules that are built in not only graphical scheduling, but also in the work week, as well as graphical assignment, are able to be looked at from a data perspective as well. I'm going to go ahead and pick my little simple schedule here, RFB 1316, to get us started. And by the way, this simple schedule is focused on just a specific work order that has a number of tasks on it. Obviously, your queries are going to have multiple work orders to schedule. So once this schedule is opened in the Data Manager, the very first page here, of course, is the schedule metadata that is coming out of the schedule itself, just as if you had built it in the graphical scheduler app. A little bit of a rabbit trail already is you are able to establish right here in the middle of the screen an automated validation frequency for your schedule. So if this schedule is going to be around for a while and you're going to be adding other work orders to it and things like that, it might be a good idea to have the Data Manager run this validation at some regular frequency. And there is a cron task that I'll list here on the screen that does this validation check. All right, let's move over to the Calendar tab, and we're just going to work our way across here as far as these tabs go. So the Calendar tab, as you can see, you have some options here as to what to validate. And this will be true on all of the tabs, is you'll have a number of checkboxes to validate those data points or not. And so in this case, I just have the three, the schedule, the work periods, the shift patterns, and it's quite a simple matter of clicking validate. And depending on how many work orders are in your query will depend on how long that takes. Mine's very quick. And you'll notice that I'm in pretty good shape. I got no errors from my schedule. If there were, they would show here along with what your options are and how to fix them. But down here on work shifts, it's telling me that apparently when I set up the pattern in the calendar, I did not give it a name, right? And so it's telling me that instead of that name that I have optionally can choose, it's just going to say W. So it's just kind of a warning, not a big deal, but at least it's telling you that you could have named that pattern and it would make it a little easier as you're working with your schedule. Okay? All right, enough of that. Let's move on to queries. Now, queries, the two queries that you use in your schedule are, of course, the work orders that you're bringing in, the work you're bringing in, and of course the labor as well. And so this gives you an opportunity to make sure that those queries are in good shape, which they wouldn't run if they weren't. But what I find of interest here is records. So I'm just bringing in a few records here, obviously the work order and the tasks, right? One work order, 3 tasks, I got 4 records, and I'm bringing in some labor as well. And so if my queries are bringing in hundreds of records, which is very possible, that may be a little too much for what I'm trying to schedule. So this is a nice check to make sure that you're only bringing in the work and or labor that you're going to be working with in this particular schedule. Okay, now to the Work tab. We're going to get into some details here. Oh my goodness, lots of things we can validate here. So my first recommendation is that don't try and validate all this stuff all at once if you have a lot of work orders that come in. That'll take a fair amount of time and probably give you too many errors to actually deal with. So, I would look at stuff like zero duration, no planned resources, the interruptible or non-interruptible work that's longer than the shifts, that kind of stuff, and kind of sneak up on this one here. But in my case, really simple, single work order. I can go ahead and click Validate Work, okay, and I get these 2 errors. So you'll see here in the list view that some of the records are marked in yellow and others are not. So the ones marked in yellow have errors, and the errors appear over here on the right-hand side, okay? And it's basically telling me that on this particular work order or task, the duration is shorter than planned. So it will check the difference between what you have planned in the work order, what's in the schedule as well. And of course, there's a duration problem here on this one. Okay, again, very simple, but it does point out some data inconsistencies that, if fixed, will make the tools work a lot better for you. Okay, moving on, dependencies. Now, I don't have any dependencies in my work order here, so I'm just going to click Validate Constraints. I don't have anything to look at, but you can tell that if I did have dependencies, it looks at the predecessors, the relationships, your lead lags, and things like that. So if you have a very sophisticated schedule, this is a great way to check and see if your dependencies are correct or not. The very last one is resources. And again, you can check for your crafts and your crews, and if you're using tools, you can check them as well. I'm going to validate the resources here. And basically, it's telling me that for these crafts that do have assignments in this particular work order, the available hours to them over the range of time is this many hours, and then this is the load that they have at the moment. And of course, I have no errors there as well. A couple of final things. Of course, any of these list views, you're always able to download them out to a spreadsheet if you need to analyze things that way. And in the end, if all of your validations are clear of errors or the warnings are not impacting you in any way, then you can say that you have a good schedule, and it will certainly help the use of the graphical applications.